God bless you all and hope you're having a wonderful day. Time for another edition of Thursday Coast with the founder of the largest online progressive community, our dear friend Marcos Melitsas. Hey, buddy, how are you?
Doing great. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. So we should all be doing great. Trump and his kind are reeling from ICE. I think that's ICE has been well worn on everybody. And uh, we won in Texas again. We're winning now.
Yeah.
Hopefully, no Democrats will do like the last time and cut some deal to sell us out. But uh, first of all, the anti-ice numbers, the de-icing. How about that? I just thought of that. The de-icing is in full effect across the board, isn't it?
It's remarkable how effective Trump has turned the nation um, against ICE, against his immigration policy. Now, some of that is to be expected. People that there's a phenomenon in public opinion that the party in power, they really can't do anything right. Right? People are just cranky. They're upset. Things kind of suck. The economy is not great for people who aren't invested in the markets, which is kind of Trump's base, and just life isn't, it's tough right now for a lot of people, and so they're cranky. And seeing the amount of money and energy and effort being put into what just looks absolutely awful on screen is hasn't served them well. And I think big part of it is the algorithms, Mark. The algorithms, because they reward outrage, and usually that rewards conservatives. But now I'm
Mhm.
telling you, it's hard for me to look at my social media sites without getting bombarded by outrageous ice videos.
Right,
And I'm like scrolling through them all because I'm just like absolutely like out of my mind furious at it all. So it's working. It's got me hooked. But I think that helps sort of distribute it. So you're seeing a lot of people that are really questioning what that means for the America that they think, that they aspire us to be. And even a lot of law and order conservatives, Republicans are looking at what's happening and they're not feeling comfortable. I mean, the apprehension of Liam Conejos Ramos, right? Like that was huge. I think that was on par of in impacting public opinion as the assassinations of Good and of Preddy. And he's a little kid with the Spider-Man backpack and the blue hat, who 5-year-old, who's back home. By the way, he's back home because the arrest was not valid, and him and his father are back in Minneapolis. So people see these images and they just don't agree, right? And so right now, for the first time, you're seeing majority support. I think in most polling, it's still plurality support. It's not majority. Plurality meaning less than 50%, but in the lead for abolishing the agency. And to me, there's no doubt that it's irredeemable. That the people they've hired are the worst of the worst, of Proud Boys of America, and it must be thrown out. It's Trump's private militia at this point. I mean, there's no way to reform that. There's no, body cameras aren't going to do anything for those thugs. They have people are videotaping them with their phones, interacting like the Gestapo. What are body cams going to do?
yeah, that's not going to stop him. But I think too, Noam, Christy Noam, and whatnot. I mean, I know her head was on the chopping block, and for whatever reason, it hasn't stayed there. That doesn't mean it won't go back there because this is absurd.
Yeah, it
And
was so.
she looks foolish.
Yeah.
Everybody who defended what happened at first, Bovine, as you call him, uh, had to get out of there. you just can't. And you know, for a change, I'm kind of thankful. Um, you remember Marcos? Do you remember Sister Soldier?
Yes.
You remember the controversy?
Yes.
And you know, people couldn't deal with what she said, and I wouldn't have said it. But the chickens have come home to roost. In other words, what did she say? Black people get killed all the time. Maybe if some white people get killed, people will wake up. And that is what has literally happened. Nobody called for it. Nobody said, let's go out and kill some white people, other than ICE. They did, and Border Patrol. They decided to do that.
Yeah.
So there are different points in time where things have to be a turning point.
Yeah.
And one other thing, I was on Joy Reid's show the other day with Lynn Winstead, and you know what she said? She said after Renee Good's killing, she said she's talking to her white women allies and friends, saying it is time for you as white women to stop having such proximity to white privilege. This is the hour. This is the hour, y'all. I mean, you know, you can be in denial all you want to. They blew a young woman's brains out. They shot a white man. He's closing the Kennedy Center because everybody, and there's something, nobody wants to go to the Kennedy Center. So he makes up an excuse. I've got to renovate it to close.
Throw it in like with his casinos. He literally he bankrupted the Kennedy Center. Such a great businessman.
Unsuccessful business person.
So I actually wrote a story that people were okay when it was brown people being rounded up. They're okay with black men being shot, but even the lesbian, they were okay with that. They were okay with that because she's a deviant in their minds. But when the gun-carrying, law-abiding VA nurse gets gunned down in cold blood for helping another woman, that crossed that line.
Yeah.
And it was so bad that not only Bovino got recalled, they released Epstein files to change that story.
Yeah.
That's how bad it was that they decided, and there was no mistake when they released those Epstein files. They were sitting on those suckers for weeks in violation of law.
Right.
They decided that it was better for them to weather Epstein than it was to continue talking about ICE. And I wrote this story yesterday, Mark. I don't know if you saw it, but the ICE operation in Minneapolis has been a stunning failure. Like, I could not believe how much of a failure it is. So Tom, what's his Homan? How do you say his last name?
Yeah, Homan.
He gave some numbers. He said that in the 2 months that ICE has been in Minneapolis with 3,000 ICE agents deployed, they've made 3,000 arrests. 3,000 arrests. 3,000 arrests.
Okay.
That's over 2 months, one arrest per agent. Now, ICE claims to have 22,000 officers. Border Patrol claims 19,000. That means that 7% of the entire nation's capacity of immigration agents are in Minneapolis right now, and they could only manage 50 arrests a day. 3,000 agents, 50 arrests a day. And keep in mind, they're arresting American citizens who were immediately released.
Right.
They arrested, for example, Liam Conejos Ramos and his dad, who were released. So how many criminals, the 3,000 actual criminals that had to be detained, have they arrested? Far less than 3,000. That's how many. Now, Trump, their goal, what they've been pushing for, is over 1 million arrests a year. And this 50 arrests a day, that gets them like a couple 100,000. I mean, they're not doing what they need to be doing, what they're pushing. So they basically have besieged an American city. They've turned public opinion against both ICE, Trump's immigration policy, Trump himself. Kristi Noem is incredibly unpopular. And for what? For 50 arrests a day?
Her face is sculpted, though.
It's pathetic. And part of it, I think, big part of it is, and I've been writing about this since last year, is that it is incredibly difficult for federal agents to enforce immigration law when you don't have local law enforcement help. So it's a lot different in Florida and a lot different in Texas, where you have, MAGA governors basically handing over their police forces to help the feds round out brown people. You don't have that in sanctuary cities, which is why Republicans are losing their mind over sanctuary cities, right? So you have 3,000 agents, you don't have local police helping. They're not really accomplishing much, but Trump can't pull these troops out because then he has to admit that he failed.
Right.
They're pulling out 700, right? And they're still keeping 2,300, I guess, would be the math. They're not really pulling them out because they can't really admit that they failed. They can't fire Kristi Noem because, again, just like he didn't fire Pete Hegseth after the Signalgate scandal, he cannot give his enemies the ammunition to declare victory over him. Like, he would rather stick with incompetent buffoons than to have late night comedians make fun of him for actually having to fire yet another incompetent cabinet member. So they're not even accomplishing it. And Mark, I will say a big part of that is Minneapolis citizens. Like, the resistance they have staged, it forces ICE and Border Patrol to have crowd control. It forces them to pull over the road and threaten American citizens who are recording them. Every second that they're being resisted is a second that they can't actually be out harassing brown people. So Minneapolis has really, really stepped up in this resistance, and they're the reason that this is happening. It's an actual war there. And every second that that ICE is having to yell at a white protester with a phone camera, he can't be doing his actual job, which is carry out Trump's fascism.
Right. But so here's a practical question I have for you, Marcos. What does this actually do for him and his base? Because it's not like, and I don't watch Fox, so I don't know what they're doing, but I thought this was going to be like an ongoing episode loop of cops, them just running up on people. But I don't even know if don't know that it's even getting that much television coverage. So who is he really entertaining? If the base isn't seeing it hour by hour, the raids, and maybe they are, and you know that, and I don't, but if they aren't seeing the raids hour by hour, and the arrests don't add up, and most of the people they're grabbing are actually citizens, is this just pure harassment and violence and intimidation? I mean, at the end of the day, I think that's the only point this has.
I mean, that's the real reason they're doing this. It is getting what they do, what the right wing is doing, not just in Fox News, but in their influencer network, right? So all their video broadcasters, is they'll take video of a protester kicking an ICE vehicle, right? And then they like lose their mind that, oh no, a protester kicked ICE vehicle's tire. And so they'll do that. So they'll sort of, it's called nut picking, is pick something that makes a protester look bad, and then they'll try to smear the entire resistance with that one protester. And honestly, most of them aren't even that bad. It's not exactly. So there's a video going around this morning of somebody down in LA, I believe, where a disabled veteran with a cane gets bumped by an ICE car. So he gets pissed and he swings his cane and he breaks the window of the car. Everybody's like, oh, like they're losing their mind over this. This is a vet not taking crap. Probably not a great idea to destroy government property, but that vehicle is now impounded for the rest of the day as everybody's trying to like swarm this guy, right? So if nothing else, it was a act of resistance. He gave himself up for the day for an act of resistance. And so they'll do that. What I will say is that it's really not, I mean, it's base service, right? It's his 30% MAGA base. Maybe it's keeping them happy, but it's not really accomplishing what he really needs to do, which is actually win November's election. And that is by executing policies that are popular with the majority of the American electorate. We can talk about Texas in a little bit because I think that sort of speaks to that. But it's not, he's so obsessed with people loving him that as broader America and moderates abandon him, he just gets more and more in line with the crazy base, right? So just a couple of days ago, he triumphantly declared on Truth Social that 92% of MAGA approves of his job performance. First of all, who cares? Like, I mean, people who like me, and not even that, right? Because like 8% of people who like me don't like what I'm doing. It's not the flex that he thinks it is.
No.
I mean, if I told you, hey, Mark, like 10% of my friends really don't like me, don't like what I've been doing. That's not. I'd be a little embarrassed to say that, right? Like,
But
so
he loves uneducated.
but he was bragging that 8% of his supporters don't like him. Great, but so he's just like he's narrowing his mind. You know what I'm saying? Like if somebody doesn't like what he's doing, he just writes them off. They're un-American. They're domestic terrorists. All these euphemisms that he uses. Instead of trying to realize, like, what do I need to do to adjust? And this is where Republicans are absolutely screwed heading into November, is that they don't have a president who is capable of course correction. They don't have a president who cares about his party. He cares about not having Democrats in power so they don't impeach him, but he doesn't know how to get there without playing his loyalty game, right? So I also wrote about this. There's a story yesterday that Trump has a $450 million war chest for November. It's a lot of money, $450 million. Now, Mark, we've talked before, money is not determinative in politics, right? Kamala Harris had $1.2 billion. Trump had raised $600 million. Trump won, right? Like money does not decide who wins elections, even though a lot of people like money's not, it's a problem, but it's not the problem people think it is. But he's got this massive war chest, right? So Democrats are freaking out, right? Because between Donald Trump and the Republican House and Senate committees, they're sitting on about $700 million already. The Democratic counterparts combined have about $250 million, right? So on paper, oh no, we're down $500 million. Remember, Donald Trump had $500 million less than Kamala Harris, and he won, right? So again, it's not determinative. But here's the thing. Trump is sitting on $464 million. You know how he's going to spend the money?
How?
Attacking Republicans in primaries who voted against him on Venezuela or on the Epstein files release, or his grudges. And you know which Republicans actually voted against him on those issues? Swing state Republicans. The ones who actually have to worry about winning. So basically what he's trying to do is he's trying to give us a bunch of Herschel Walkers in a bunch of competitive Republican-held seats and replace them with his MAGA crazies. So that money, not only is it not determinative, now he's using it against his own party. And how is that going to help him? It's not going to help him. But he can't get past his grievances. He is so down that black hole of grievances that he thinks it's more important to punish Republicans that can win tough districts than it is to actually win November's election. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's insane.
And he can't focus on affordability. I mean, he's obsessed with the Kennedy Center. He's obsessed with his ballroom at the White House. He's obsessed with marble armrests at the Kennedy Center. It's his arch. I don't know if you've seen this arch. His arch would be bigger than the Lincoln Memorial because he needs a bigger arch than the French. Literally, it has to be bigger than the French Triumph d'Arc.
Yeah.
And people are going like, what's this got to do with my ability to pay for groceries? And Republicans are desperate for him to start talking about things that actually resonate with people, as opposed to grievances and fights and picking fights with our allies and vanity projects. He can't do it. And then that's what happened in Texas on Saturday. Have you talked about it before to people, though?
No, I want to hear about it. So Texas, that's a big deal, right? That's always been red, that district, right?
It's been red since 90s, since the 90s. So at least the last 30 years. It's a Dallas area, kind of an exurban district. It's a state Senate district. Donald Trump won it by 17 points. 17 points. The Democrat on Saturday won it by 13. 14, really, 14 points. So it was a 31-point swing. Also, the Republicans spent $2.4 million on that race. The Democrats spent $250,000. So again, money doesn't determine election results. What's particularly Republicans are like, well, it's a special election and turnout was low, and true, turnout was low. But this is the craziest stat for me. There's two actually. One is that Latino precincts that Trump won in 24, the Democrat won by 70 points, 80-10. So Latinos in Texas, right? We knew Latinos in Florida had flipped, right? Because Democrats won the Miami mayoral seat first time in 30 years in December. And it did so on the strength of Latino votes flipping from Republican to Democrat. We knew that, but we didn't know if Texas Latinos, because again, the Latino community is not monolithic. But apparently right now they are monolithically against Donald Trump, because 80-10 is pretty freaking insane. So that's the first stat. And that has huge implications for November's election. But the second one is this notion that Republicans are saying, well, it's a special election. Democrats are more motivated. So they turned out in a Saturday election are we still in February, March, in January? Whatever it is, early in the year, we're going to have a bigger electorate in November. And that's true. But here's the thing. The electorate modeled was 51% Republican. It was 51% Republican, 35% Democrat. And then the Republican got 44% of the vote. So it's one thing to lose independents, and independents went to the Democrat by a lot, right? From 35 to 57, 35% of Democrats, the Democrat got 57% of the vote. That's a lot of independents. But Republicans are flipping, Mark. That's not a thing that happens. We are so locked in partisan-wise that really you have a tiny little bit of the middle, which is a few points, which are mostly apathetic people who aren't really paying attention. We've talked about this. There's only about 3 to 5% true independents in the data, and they're less likely to vote. What people think of as independents are usually people who lean one way or another, right? So Bernie Sanders supporters, independent, but they're mostly going to vote for the Democrat, right? You're seeing a massive swing amongst Republican-leaning independents and Republicans themselves in this race. I don't think that's a fluke at this point. And even Ron DeSantis in Florida was like, "Ooh, we need to consider what's happening," and that's notable because he's been talking about gerrymandering the map in Florida to carve out Republican seats. And I don't think there's a single Republican incumbent right now who wants to see his or her district diluted even more.
Right.
So you got numbers like this, a 31-point swing, Mark, and Democrats may pick up 3 to 5 seats in Texas, even after a gerrymander that was supposed to cost them 5 seats. That's the kind of numbers that we're looking at. Now, are we going to get a 31 swing nationally? I don't think so. That would be, I mean, at that point, there'll be like 75 Republicans left in the House. I don't think we're going to get that, but we don't need a 31-point swing. A 10-point swing is more than enough to have a comfortable Democratic majority in the House and to take the Senate itself.
Yeah.
So at this point, I think Democrats are now slightly favored to take the Senate.
Wow. Well, good.
And what's Trump going to do to change course? He can't. What he's doing is he's fantasizing about canceling the election. He's not thinking, how do I become more popular? He's thinking, I won the election. Why do we need a midterm? If you think about it, we should be canceling this election. We don't need to have this election. That's what he's thinking. The latest one was nationalize the election. Nationalize the election. He's going to have his ICE goons at polling locations. I mean, he's going to do what he's going to do. He's going to do his fascism thing, but he's not capable of changing his course and go like, all right, you're right, America, I'm hearing you. I went too far. I get it. Right. We're gonna back off. We're gonna rethink things. And now I'm gonna spend the next how many months? 10 months, 9 months. We're gonna spend the rest of this year talking only about the cost of living. He can't do that.
And you tell me again about the Latino vote in that district?
The Latino vote overall swung about 50 points. So Donald Trump won them in that district. He won the Latino vote something like 60-40, 55-45. It was around there, and he lost them about 80-20.
See, that's another thing that's mysterious to me, because people can't be, even the Latino community can't be that surprised. I mean, I don't even understand. So I'll be honest with you, man. I know we're not supposed to talk this way. I got banned from TikTok just for asking the question. How do you go from 60-40 to 80-10? How do, black men put on Instagram and TikTok, don't vote for the black woman, and then 90% of black men vote for Abigail Spanberger and Mike Sherrill?
Yeah.
That y'all understand what I'm saying? That's that algorithm stuff.
It's the algorithm. But there was I think there was a legitimate, at least with the Latino community. I mean, you see a lot of like, this is not what I voted for. And we're like, of course this is what you voted for. It is exactly what you voted for. We didn't make this up. We were quoting Donald Trump.
Right.
We didn't have to speculate about what he might do.
Right.
They wrote a whole freaking Project 2025 telling us everything we're seeing is straight out of that playbook. So yeah, that part is incredibly frustrating. But I think people really are hurting economically, and they really thought that Trump was going to be able to deliver lower prices.
Right.
And it's a Mamdani effect, right? Like, tell people that you're listening and Joe Biden was talking about how great the economy was. For people who are not doing well, that does not help. And Mark, I did that too. So I'm not sitting there like, I'm not casting stones, right? I'm also learning that was not the approach to take. People are hurting, telling them that things are great and they're better than in Europe and they're better than the rest of the industrialized world. That doesn't help anybody.
Right. That's right.
And Mamdani came in and he said, I see you. I see that the rent is too high. And can he do anything about that? I don't know. Right? It's tough to govern. But at least people like understand that his values are aligned, that he understands that they're hurting, right? It's a Bill Clinton, I see your pain thing. And people laughed at Bill Clinton, I see your pain. That stuff works. People want to be seen. And being like, well, Wall Street's doing great. That did not help Joe Biden. And that's literally what Trump is doing now.
Well, and it probably didn't help, it has not helped the Epstein stuff. It's not as if the most salacious details have surfaced, but he's also not acquitted himself from it. And he's tied to him. He is tied to Epstein. And no matter what he does, that's just going to be the case. Some things just linger. And we always wondered what would be his undoing. It can only get worse, because it's not like he's putting forward any evidence, anybody else is putting forward any evidence that he didn't know him, he wasn't in a relationship with him, he didn't do anything. And I don't know how smart it is to force the Clintons to testify.
I wonder if it's actually going to happen.
Right.
I think they wanted the what do you call it? The contempt.
Right. So they could, let's do discovery.
Oh,
Bill and Hillary, never mind. We don't need you. No. We insist. We would love to. We don't have nothing on the calendar. All right. Yep. So we're coming. We'll be right out. We on the way. No. We don't want you to come.
Yeah, we just watch and see when, if they decide to
Whew.
actually to schedule it. And it's amazing. You can see that they realize it because now they're trying to defend it, right? Like Megyn Kelly saying, like, 16-year-olds aren't children, right? Remember she said that. And now, who was it? Was it Bassett who's like, it's not a crime. It's not a crime to party with Epstein. Oh, not. That was the latest. That was earlier this week.
It's not a crime to do what?
It's not a crime to party with Epstein. That's their latest.
Well, what let me tell you this though. The larger question is, I mean, everybody, the owner of the Giants, I mean, more and more people are coming out. What did this dude have on people? That's a whole nother conversation, a whole nother show. I really need to understand how this dude, that's like the only person that people could party with. I mean, it's just like, I mean, everybody's in it. I had to go back and say, let me make sure I didn't go to a party. I mean, because everybody we know went to a party.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't know what this dude, what was his cachet.
So I sent you a screenshot of. So I spend a lot of time in QAnon forums and 4chan, and this is a 4chan.
Wow.
It's the worst of the worst. They are turning on Trump in a big way. And you know what's crazy? Do you know about 4chan? 4chan is a dark web forum for anti-Semitic, racist,
Yes.
the worst of the worst, right? Like the most horrible people. And it turns out that their political forum, this came out in the Epstein file release. The Epstein met with the founder of 4chan, and that day 4chan launched its political forum. So they are losing their minds because now it seems like they are a psyop. They were like created by with Epstein's encouragement, as a way to create this, discord and amp up racial animosity and anti-Semitism and all that stuff. Like, I don't know what Epstein's goal was, but we know that he's worked with Putin on disinformation stuff, on helping Trump get elected. And apparently 4chan was part of that. So 4chan, its people are like losing their minds because they feel like they were used. There's a lot of anti-Semitism, obviously, because Epstein was Jewish, and so they see themselves as tools of the Zionist agenda, or whatever you want to. However they use a lot worse words. I don't want to repeat how they refer to Jewish people, but this is sort of the vibe. It's on the screen, and do you want to read it? I mean, this is a racist, anti-Semitic 4chan user using Peppa the Frog, which is their symbol for, basically saying, I spent the last few years of my life defending pedophiles. Trump raped kids. Elon raped kids. My retard liberal friends were right. I feel like a fucking moron. That is the vibe right now in the QAnon the QAnon forums, 4chan, the racist corners of the web. Like, they're realizing they've been used. And remember, QAnon exists because of this belief that there's a global cabal of child molesters that were protected by the rich and famous. And the Epstein files suggest that maybe there was, but it was the people that they were defending this entire time, and they're starting to realize that.
Walk me through that one more time. He met with the founders.
Epstein met with the founder of 4chan, this racist, anti-Semitic forum online, dark web, because it's been hidden by all the search engines. He met with the founder of 4chan, and that very day 4chan launched its political forum. You could not make this up, Mark. I could not come up with a conspiracy that good.
So he fostered this as cover for his own.
Who knows? I think I think he was working with Putin because he did have connections with Putin to help Donald Trump get elected, and creating a safe space for the most racist, anti-Semitic amongst us to support Trump was part of that plan. It's the only thing that makes even remote sense. But who would have thought? Like, this is crazy. And yeah, they're absolutely losing their minds. So they think they're they're a Mossad operation. That's what they think.
They think Epstein is
them, like 4chan.
Oh, they think they were set up to be Mossad.
Yeah.
I've heard that too.
So,
because again, I mean, honestly, who else has that much on anybody? I mean, this dude every day is someone else that you never thought was connected to this dude. His network. I mean, who knows everybody like that? And this was a strange dude. I mean, you know,
yeah, no, it's like, you control him that way, right?
It's like the Diddy parties. I mean, what is going on?
You give them a taste of something illegal, and then they can't talk, right? Like, now you got them.
Well, it goes to show how many of us, including you and me, man, have really boring lives. I mean, I didn't think mine was boring, but we ain't done nothing.
There's no Barack Obama in there,
right? People like, we haven't done anything, y'all.
There's no Kamala Harris on there.
You ain't done nothing. You could, you know.
You know who else was not on there? Of all the Republicans, like all the Republicans are on there, right? Like, yeah, like half of Trump's cabinet is on there. Dick Cheney's not on there.
Interesting.
He's like the most evil person. He's like, nah, it's too evil for me.
Well, and he had a heart condition too, so he probably didn't want to.
It's the only reason.
I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm not saying that to be mean, y'all. That's a fact. He had a heart condition for a long time, and I'm sure he didn't. You know, that's wild. All these people.
So this is where, you know, and this is not a path towards a durable progressive majority. So I don't want to oversell it, right? But remember, you only have to shift the electorate 5 points over. I keep saying this, right? Right now it's a 50-50 electorate. Last year, Pew had it as 48 Democratic, 47% Republican in partisan affiliation and leaners. This year, they updated that, and the Republicans were ahead. Or, sorry, last year they updated it, like late last year, and it was like Republicans were up like 48, 47. That's the same thing, right? It's 50-50. It's a 50-50 country. You shift it 5 points, and suddenly now you're looking at a 55-45 country. That's a 10-point margin. And then you can absorb. Trump moved the electorate 6 points in 2024. If you have a 10-point lead, you can absorb a shift like that, right? This is what we need as a movement. Just 5 points. When you're seeing 51% of Republicans turn out in an election, and the Republican candidate only gets 44% of the vote, something's happening.
Yeah. That's what Marco's saying, folks. Over 50% of Republicans turned out in this Texas election, and the Republican candidate only got 44% of the vote.
Yeah, so let's see, 51, 44, 7. So you're looking at about 15 to 20% of Republican voters defected.
Wow.
And they didn't stay, like, they could have just stayed home. They actually turned out to vote against a Republican on a Saturday. There's something going on. There's something going on, Mark. There's something going on.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad it is. It's about time.
And people like this racist a-hole right here, he's just not going to vote. Like, people like him will crawl back into their hovels. Like, we don't want their votes anyway. Like, you know, this is the worst of the worst. But we're fine. Like, don't vote anymore. And that's their sort of sentiment. Like, everybody's corrupt. They don't think, oh, well, you know, it's the Republicans that are the problem. And no, they think like everybody's corrupt. I'm just not going to participate anymore. Yeah. You know what? I'm okay with that.
Yeah, stay home. Good,
yeah,
stay home.
I'm okay with that.
Because you're messed up anyway and confused and don't know what's going on, and you know you're fighting pedophilia while you're following one. Yeah, Bill and Hillary They gonna cancel. That's gonna get canceled.
I don't think
That testimony gonna get canceled. Just breaking news. We Daily Coast and Make It Plain are now projecting
they're not going to testify.
that Bill and Hillary's testimony will be canceled. All right. We man.
Yeah, Comer does not want this publicly aired. He needs to shut this shit down. Like he can't. Genie's out of the bottle though. It's out of the bottle. And they still have what? They've only released like 10% of the freaking files so far. Yeah.
Whew. All right.
So it's going to be interesting too, Mark, once Democrats take control of Congress, because if they do it right, they are going to dig and dig and dig. And you know what? So some Democrats on there, Bill Clinton's on there, so be it. Like, who cares? Like, let's get to the bottom of this stuff. And anybody who is guilty and culpable, like, they need to reopen those files and they need to start charging people.
Yeah.
There's one email in the batch that got a lot of circulation where the email basically says, "Thank you, Epstein, for a wonderful night. Your young treasure you gave me was delightful and very, very naughty." Right? They blacked out the from line, which is against the law, right? So there's gonna be a lot of material for Democrats and investigators to go back and reopen some of these questions, because that from should not have been redacted. I'm just going to assume it's Donald Trump or somebody in the administration until proven otherwise, because there's no reason for them to redact that. They were only supposed to redact the names of victims.
And Prince Andrew was out of control, y'all. Dude was out of control. Yeah. These are, and the young lady who was one of his accused, I mean, she committed suicide.
No, it's absolutely horrendous, and there needs to be accountability. And I'm kind of, why didn't Joe Biden's DOJ do this?
Who was his attorney general?
Yeah,
didn't do anything.
And I bet you, because there's a lot of their donors are on there. I bet you it's as simple as that. A lot of their donors are on there.
Well, it's not just that. Merrick Garland, supposedly a Democrat, argued against D.C. statehood in the Supreme Court. He didn't have a problem being on Mayor Marion Barry's prosecution.
Yeah.
So he picks and chooses.
Yeah. No. And so the next, like, that's one of the things I actually think it's going to be very important for the Democratic field, is to say we're going to aggressively prosecute. We're going to open these up fully and prosecute, and then they got to be held to that. Stop playing.
Yeah. Get real.
Yeah.
Thursday Coast, Marcos, Melissa. Wow, this is a lot. With good news.
It's all terrible for Trump. I mean, if you're a Republican, at what point do you say, I need to start distancing myself from Trump?
Yeah.
It's going to happen. Has to happen.
Yeah. I mean, if people want to keep their seats, because it's going to get real. And people are going to have to make the decision about whether they want him to come in their district and campaign. All that is on the table.
Yeah.
So, unbelievable. Marcos Melitsas, Thursday Coast.
Thanks so much.
Always.
And I'll catch you next week.
Yeah, y'all. I'm a little speechless. I'm just sitting with this. I'm just a little traumatic. It's a lot. And at 4chan. DailyCoast.com. Every day, every week. Check it out. And of course, Marcos's column is always there. Thanks as always, buddy.